if a over b equals 1, what is the value of a minus b? Now, if a over b equals to 1, we can infer the following. First of all, a cannot be 0. Why? Because let's say a was 0. If a is 0, then a over b, which would mean that it would be 0 over b, and it would be 0. Why? Because 0 divided by any number is 0, which would mean that a over b equals 0. But wait, they are telling us from the beginning that a over b equals 1. So a over b cannot be equal to 0, and therefore a is different than 0. Good. 2. B cannot be 0. Why? Because if b was 0, then a over b would mean that it would be a over 0, and any number divided by 0 is not defined. Remember this, we cannot divide by 0. And the last thing, and most important one, is that if a over b equals 1, then a has to be equal to b. Now let's prove that. If a over b equals to 1, then the left side, which is a over b, is equal to the right side, which is 1. And therefore we can multiply both sides by b, which is a number that is different than 0. Why? Because we saw it here. And we would have that a over b times b would be equal to 1 times b. And here the b's cancel out. We would get a is equal to 1 times b, and that would mean that a equals to b. Now, so what's the conclusion for now? The conclusion is that if a over b equals to 1, then for sure a has to be equal to b. Now, the question is, what is a minus b? What is this quantity? Now, in order to figure out how much is a minus b, the only thing we need to look at is that a equals b. Therefore, we can substitute this a by b, and a minus b would give us then b minus b. And we know that 3 minus 3 is 0, 4 minus 4 is 0, any number minus the same number is 0, so b minus b is 0, and 0 is the answer to the question.